Hello?
Yo. What's up, dude?
All right. What is going on? Everybody, this is Jordan, aka BBZ. If you want to introduce yourself, I'll see if we can get the screen looking good for you.
Sure. What's going on, guys? Nice to be here. Michael
How does that
Jordan.
look?
Yeah, alright, fair enough. Yeah, man. So excited.
First hand. I'm just going to run through them and let you do most of the talking. And if I have any questions or if we see any questions in the chat, we'll try and get them. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Oh shit, I have the wrong screen up. Apologies. Right.
Oh, shit.
All right, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to the hand. It was one hand. It's okay. Okay. All right. I'm embarrassed already. Okay. So the hand that
Yeah,
we're
ace
playing
nine.
was the ace
Yeah.
nine. So we opened ace nine. Jordan said we want to bet big. I overbet. We're good. All right. Apologies.
And I said I don't know the mechanics that well. So like my ceiling is usually like 90% just because that's what I've worked with a lot. But I think that's totally fine as far as like strategic answers go. I know some people that like that as far as answers. So
Okay.
okay,
I'm just gonna
and then
one
here,
more thing.
what's up?
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So here, you know, you mentioned that like it might be final two tables. So I'll just briefly touch on some of the ICM implications that for how this might work. And so like if this is final, so if it's not final two, then we'd call. And if it's final two, it's more complicated. It comes down to like how likely the other players are to use large bet sizing options and how much they're going to. At equilibrium, I think that the strategy that the imposition player plays to is going to be leveraging big bets. And so if he's not going to do that, it gets a little bit more dicey around folding. And you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're bluff catching too much with hands that really you just can't make call downs, such as this one. But a large fraction of the population that you're playing against isn't going to really cause you the types of problems that they need to in order for you to fold here. So it's close.
Okay. Okay. I did say it to the chat beforehand also because I said you don't need to hold back if you think I've messed up anything like insanely bad. I want to be, embarrassed on the stream. It's all good. Just in case you feel like you need to be nice because we're streaming, all right?
No, I won't
so
be
we
nice. I won't be nice. Yeah, ISO.
Okay, I remember I shoved. Do you think it's okay or too much?
I don't know. So again, like I haven't done a ton of work on, and I'm just gonna be honest with the guys, right? Like I haven't done a ton of work on like cut off limp first in, small blind, like 30 big blind jam, right? It's not something I've done a ton of work on. Some of the implications are like, go ahead.
Would it if this was final two tables? I'm gonna go find out that hand that I sent and find out if this final two tables because that'd be good to know. But if it was final two tables, would you be more inclined to maybe shove it, or would you still like? Would
Yeah,
that make
sure.
it less
I think shoving starts to get more attractive, yes, if it's final two tables, because he can't hero a hand like ace 10 and ace jack. It starts to get a little bit better, but
okay,
and it
still might be too much.
Yeah, and your ability to like ISO to not all in sizings gets a little bit constrained. You might end up with a really like cool answer where you end up completing, just because like you can't defend like an ISO strategy very very frequently versus like all in counter, and so like, it's a cool spot. Like I don't really know the answer, so we can go to the spots that you fuck up because this one's complicated.
Okay. If I go into the hand details, will it tell me my bounty? Alright, so my bounty at this point is $1,200 just because it was asked in the chat. So, okay. Yeah, I think this is last two tables.
Okay, so we went pretty far. So we're gonna end up finishing this kind of quickly if we start from here probably.
Do you want to go back?
I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it.
There's still a lot of hands there.
Sure. Let's just go.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, again, like I'm not folding this if it's not, I don't think.
Sure. So
would you want to call this anyway?
Yeah, I mean, I basically want to call anyways. The only way I'd be folding in spots like this is if he was really, really, really tight as a result of the chip distribution. So if he was playing a strategy that was like ridiculously tight because he felt like you could pressure his stack size, that's a possibility. Then sure, like you could make some kind of argument around folding, but short of that, you end up with a call strategy here, I think, with this hand, and no fold. And then I think you end up with some you probably end up with some pretty creative post-flop strategies where you end up with leads in situations that would surprise you.
Okay.
And you can actually end up realizing equity like quite a bit better than you probably think you can when you have the kind of when you're in this chip distribution.
Say, would you, like, how far down with jacks would you go? Because I wouldn't have folded jack 8 and jack 9. I'm not just saying that because I folded jack 7, but like jack 6 and jack 5 I wouldn't even thought about.
I believe you.
Yeah.
I would have defended jack 5 offsuit still. And I would have at some frequency, I would have a non-all-in 3-bet strategy with like jack 4 and jack 5 as well. So
okay.
Not a lot, but sometimes. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a high frequency c-bet to a small sizing. I think that's fine. Yeah, I mean, I think it ends up being like really difficult for him to check ace-x on the river, probably. So, particularly with your small bet sizing on the flop. So I think this is like clean enough.
Okay. You should shove. Are you actually? I used to always think you shoved this pre, but you actually don't mind. You like flat in these ones, right? The suited king jack.
So can you say that again, sorry?
So like I used to always shove this pre, but would you be? You're okay with flatting this for like 15, 16, right?
Yeah.
Or am I wrong?
Yes. No, that's right. Yeah. So at 15 big blinds, I think that you want to build the 3-bet shoving strategy from offsuit combos for the most part. You're not really going to be looking to use suited hands much. So yeah, it's something that a lot of people make mistakes on is 3-betting too many suited hands. I think this plays good. I think your bet sizing maybe should have been smaller, but that would be like my only critique. I would be kind of concerned.
On the river?
Yeah, on the river. Yeah, I'd be kind of concerned that his nut ratio is too high, and if his nut ratio is too high, like his trips ratio is too high, and I would be trying to drive in money from like the non-trips component, and I may have bet smaller for those reasons, but.
Parker wants to know about the king jack suited because obviously I cover boat and it's a bounty tournament and it's deep. Do you think it changes it, or you're still just happy out calling?
That's a good question. Yeah, so I think that depending on how much money is on his head and like what his assumptions are around your calling range when he 3-bet jams, it becomes much more reasonable for him to just jam king jack suited at some point for sure. But I still think that I think the big blind strategy would be calling all of the suited hands when the suited hands are bluffs. I think you just define the bluffing component, like the semi-bluffing component, differently, and so that just becomes like a linear value bet, basically. So like you wouldn't flat with like ace king suited, right? You wouldn't flat with ace queen suited. You wouldn't flat with ace jack suited. And so if the imposition player is calling far down enough, then king jack suited just becomes a linear value bet.
Okay. Are you okay with just flat in here? He has a 1k bounty, by the way.
So I would have to relate the 1k bounty to so like what so
I
like
can tell you the bounties at the table. Okay.
What's up?
It's the 530. I can tell you that you can.
Yeah. So it starts with it's like 5x the starting bounty, roughly speaking.
It's 125 starting bounty, right?
Okay, and 1,000 to you then.
Yeah.
It's like 1,000 profit. Okay. So 8x. And so it's going to be 25,000 starting chips.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you put them in, it's like 200,000 chip overlay, roughly.
So you can't really go wrong with going all in with king queen.
Fuck, sorry. 64,000 chip overlay. 8 times 8. It's not that complicated. Yeah, I think that this is a high frequency 3-bet.
Okay. felt super close.
Yeah. These bounties add an element that's like obviously challenging, guys, for what it's worth. Like the math, like every single hand has a little bit more math that's involved, so it's just a little bit more complicated. So, but there's you want to use like roughly speaking like a 30% multiplier, 33% ish multiplier, and so 25,000 starting chips, and then a 33% multiplier on those chips is going to be about around 8,000 chips, 8,300 chips. And if he's got 8x a starting bounty, it's going to be like roughly speaking 8,300 times 8, so 64,000-ish dead, 66.4-ish dead, or overlay when we jam. I think that King Queen offsuit is going to be close anyways with it being an offsuit combo in this situation, this type of hand. I think it's going to be reasonable at this SPR to stick this in, and particularly with the overlay, it gets pretty attractive to just flip against like ace jack and ace 10. So shoving's probably good. I would have jammed. Then when we call, he'd flop on check check. Is that right?
Yeah, check check.
Sure. That seems reasonable as far as sizings go.
Okay.
Yeah, that seems fine. Just 4-bet pre. Yep, sure, run it.
It's quite the donation.
It's good to win. So this is a complicated spot again. These type of stack depths against button flat. So before you look at ICM adjusted strategies, you're going to end up with like checking being a reasonable part of the answer with your range. You don't want to be betting 100% here of what you would have opened. It gets more complicated when you adjust it for ICM, and then it gets more complicated again when you adjust it for the KO. I think both are going to lead to higher frequency c-bets than you would otherwise expect for two reasons. So first, I think you're gonna have more leverage in your bet because it's going to be difficult for him to defend the hands that are closer to 0 EV, or like all of the marginal hands in his range that are relatively close to 0 that he uses to clear kind of defending frequency minimums and things. Those hands are going to be driven to below 0 because they won't realize equity across streets. So the ICM adjusted strategy, I think, for the in-position player is going to allow you to bet a little bit more often than you would normally be allowed to bet. That's part one. Part two, I think the fact that yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'll ask you when you're done.
Okay, and then the next part that I think allows you to bet a little bit more often is that you're getting a price essentially on. You're getting a better price, so it's going to be easier for you to defend medium strength hands versus check raises because you have the KO overlay. So I think that both of those two things are going to allow you to see it a little bit more often than usual, and so I don't mind betting for those reasons. I think it's going to be something like maybe a 45% bet, 55% check. Normally, I would shift to like 75, 80% bet, maybe. And
what size? Like, because usually if I was betting this board versus big blind, I'd probably size up slightly.
Sure.
So can you go smaller because of all those reasons that you've just said?
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm. I'm fine with larger bets too, but it's complicated.
Yeah.
And as your frequency goes up, sizing can go down usually. So, sure, I'm still comfortable with this as far as answers go. It's just I probably would have bet.
Okay.
I think Broadway are going to tend to be good for you. So I think introducing bets is okay.
Too big?
No, I don't think so. I think it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a really good sizing choice. I also want to make sure you didn't bet too big. I think your opponent has a high enough nut ratio here that it's going to be challenging to bet very large. I think that this is one of the things that a lot of people who are sophisticated screw up is they want to bet over half pot always because that's one of like the rules of thumb of no limit hold'em is that like you don't bet small in position on the river. So that's a good like default rule of thumb, but it's not true always. It is true mostly, and I don't think it's true here. So I think this is appropriate. I think his nut ratio around 10x is probably high enough that that this bet size is going to be appropriate. When you're value betting here, you're going to be trying to drive in money against the non-10x hands, and so like this seems good.
Okay. Ryan has a question in the chat. It says, does Jordan think there is more large c-bet in ICM spots as a function of ICM spots themselves, or more as a result of people defending too much pre, getting to the flop too wide? That c-bet frequency plus size will be constrained if people defended correctly tight. I'm not sure if you got all that. If not, I can send it to you if you don't have the chat.
Yeah, I want to send it to me. I have the chat up. I'll read it though. I think that I think that it's when you cover your opponent, I think that you tend to see bet sizing scaling up in a lot of the ICM adjusted sims that I've seen. So it's more a function of how it works. But I think that the implications of what you mentioned probably make it better than it would otherwise be. Although that's kind of complicated because, like, to be honest, if the pre-flop brain is too weak, the smaller bets are going to increase in effectiveness kind of dramatically, right? So it's the second part's more complicated, but I think it's the first part.
I used to always bet this board when check too, but I'm not really meant to, right? Because I don't have much pairs or anything really on the board. I'm completely wrong. I used to always bet this board, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, so Chippy V is going to be it's definitely a board where the imposition player is the big blind's really relevant, and checking is going to be important. Can you replay the action?
Yeah, so he opens pre, and I just flat.
And you flat it. Okay, sure. Yeah, I think that it's complicated again. Okay, so
the thing is, I guess I can have aces and kings and stuff because of the stacks, right? Even though, like, most of the time I'd probably try and get it in against Marco Vitas.
Sure. So I'm going to address some of the comments in the chat too. So what do we think about slamming pre-flop? As long as his raise first in's wide enough, it's going to be attractive kind of quickly. But the concern would basically be that, like, his RFI is not wide enough. We're in a situation where we have ICM pressure on a jam, which is going to constrain his raise calling strategy, and then we have overlay from the KO, which is going to make bluffing more profitable. So that's going to make shoving better. I can be okay with it in most scenarios, but I think that Marco is supposed to constrain his opening strategy to reflect that reality. Most people won't do it, but if he does that, then it gets kind of more challenging. So once we get to the flop, I think we should have close to no pairs, right? Close to no pairs at all. And I think if we have like no pairs, then I don't. It's an interesting spot. Can you replay just go back to the root of the hand, like when you opened? I just want to see his stack size again. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you have close to no pairs. Like, it's going to be super difficult for you to have pairs that go beyond like 4s or 5s or something with the.
Unless I was trapping a big pair, I wouldn't have a pair. I'd either fold or shove, probably. I wouldn't even. I think I'd just shove all my pairs probably with his bounty. He's got a 2K bounty.
Yeah.
2.1.
Yeah. So you have close to no pairs, right? So I think that's going to make it super challenging for you to bet the flop.
Okay.
Ten's really, really, really good for you. So, I mean, obviously we're going to call.
I remember this spot and just like.
Sure.
It felt like, I know I've got Jack Eye. I would have obviously bluffed any club, any diamond, like happily. Mm-hmm. And I know that the 7, like possibly like Jack 9 suited can be one hand that I have, but it doesn't like change a whole lot really. I don't think, and I don't know. I just felt like he was like when he bets that size on the turn. Like, I don't think he's doing this with too many ace highs. And I think he like, it's just hard when I've got Queen Jack in my hand for him to have as many bluffs. And I just felt like I was getting snapped if I bet. Like, I obviously hate checking with Jack High, but I just thought we were getting snapped off.
Sure.
But maybe I'm completely wrong and I just have to bluff because it's the worst hand I've got to the river with, like.
Well, it's awfully hard to get to the river with worse hands. I mean, like, most of the hands that you have, so it's a little complicated, it's a little dicey, again, because of the KO overlay that you have. Like, you might have expanded your flatting range pre-flop. Yeah. And so you could end up with some worse hands potentially to have floated, like some worse suited hands, like maybe some worse suited kings and things, to have floated pre, and they still check flop, and they still call turn. But those hands still have like, a bad diamond, and those hands are still kind of high card. I think the 7 here takes all of your low cards out. So like it just becomes like almost impossible for you to bluff. Like it's almost impossible to bluff a hand to get here with a hand that's like worse than queen high. So like 7-6, 9-7, Jack 7 suited or something. If you like anything like that, and then anything that calls that bet size on the turn is either going to be ace high at like a minimum pair, which you don't really have pairs, but pairs would be 10x. So ace high or a draw. And so like you're always going to have these miserable blockers. Like there's just no way around it. You can make arguments around trying to do it with like a high card dangler. Like maybe having the queen of diamonds and the jack of clubs is worse than having like the king of diamonds, which would suck, but then having like the 4 paired with 4 with it, right? So like king 4, but you're still bluffing with king high instead of queen high. So it's really tough, I think, to check and like find what you would bluff with instead. I think you've got lots of 10x here. So
I definitely do.
I would bet.
Okay, he would have got me, but I don't know. I still wasn't sure in game. Like I thought it was. I hated checking. Obviously, I was happy when I seen.
Yeah. I just think it's a super tough spot to try to find. Like, I mean, why don't you try to find it? Like, what would you have bluffed with? Like, where would you have found it?
Where? It's not going wrong way.
I guess maybe you have like queen 6 suited or something. Sometimes.
I mean, I could have queen jack of spades or something, right? Like I could have queen jack of hearts. I feel like they'd be almost a little bit better. Like they're not infinitely better. I mean, like I admit I don't have a lot. Like maybe something like 5-6 of diamonds. I mean, I'm not in love with it either, but
yeah, I mean, like we have 5-6 of diamonds. We have queen jack of hearts, and we have. It's just not a lot. I mean, these are the worst suits, so it's just pretty efficient from like a high card perspective. It's just really tough for you to have like a lower hand than this. You have exactly like 5-6 of diamonds and 5-6 clubs, maybe exactly 5-4 of diamonds and 5-4 of clubs, and that's kind of it. And those are dicey, but
yeah, I wouldn't even always fought them because of the stacks behind.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. So yeah, I mean, it's tough.
So this is final table.
So, I mean, it's kind of stupid, but like, we can probably use some like stupid pre-flop 3-bets. I mean, like, so I mean, like the 3-bet range is going to be barred from like jack 5 offsuit and jack 4 offsuit. I'm aware of that, and like king 5 offsuit and king 4 offsuit.
Yeah.
But I think like our non-all-in 3-bet strategies end up having like way more leverage than they would normally have, and so I mean, like if you'd done that, I wouldn't. Like I don't think that's what you're supposed to do. I just think that it's like it's an option that's like probably worth entertaining at the margin with Quitted Bear having 200K, but then calling's fine, and then I would be these spots are super sensitive to the assumptions you make around your opponents. So. All of the bets you use have leverage, and so like the leverage comes from in Chippy V it would be the two of us, and the only 2 players that would be relevant would be the 2 people in the hand, right? And so like you have no like your bets have no leverage that goes beyond the actual bet itself. It's just he calls with whatever odds he gets. He tries to clear an MDF after he bets minimum defending frequency. He has to call at a certain frequency based on our bet size in relation to the pot. Now, what happens when it gets ICM adjusted is you end up with leverage on every bet you make, whether you lead or c-bet or whatever. And that leverage comes from all of the other players. So now, in this situation, he can't afford to go broke before Quitted Bear. And as a result, we can borrow from Quitted Bear to apply pressure to Leda Lopez. And so that's a form of leverage in all of our raises. So in this situation, if he's using like a high-frequency c-bet strategy, which lots of people use, 2-betting ends up being like way, ends up performing way better, particularly 2-betting to small sizings, ends up performing way better than it's supposed to. So I wouldn't mind if you did something like that. I think this is also a scenario where it should be extraordinarily difficult for him to double barrel, because all of his thin double barrels end up being driven to check, and a lot of his bluffing just gets harder. So I would expect like a really low frequency c-bet from the population, and I think reverse folding is fine. So I wouldn't fold in this situation.
Okay. Just a few questions in the chat. Someone asked, what is two betting? Two betting is just check raising. So the first bet is clearly the c-bet, and then the second bet is just the two bet. Ryan asked in the chat, I know he knows exactly what it is, and I'm not sure if he's trolling or if he wants to do it for other people, because you're mentioning it quite a little bit. If you could elaborate a little bit on minimum defense frequencies, aka MDF.
Yeah, sure. So we'll just use simple numbers that are roughly speaking in line with this spot. So if Leda Lopez bets 50,000, okay, and there was 150,000 in the middle. If we use just simple fractions, Leda would be betting 1, and the total pot would be 4. Okay, and so if Leda wins the pot 25% of the time, 1 out of 4, that's the point at which napkins become break even. So two napkins, right? And so Easy with Aces would have to defend 75%. Now that concept doesn't apply if you're massively disadvantaged, which is usually the case when you defend your big blind, but that's basically what we're referring to when we talk about an MDF. Now, if we raise, okay, so if Leda bets and we decide to raise, like we did, so we're betting 150 into, and the pot becomes about 330. Let's just simplify and call the pot, 300. So we're betting 150 and the pot's 300. So we have to win the hand for our napkins to become, the break-even point for our napkins to become break-even is 50%. So Leda has to defend at least half of Leda's range that Leda would have bet on the flop. And that's, in this situation, probably going to be difficult to do for someone who's using a high-frequency c-bet strategy, okay? And so since that's hard for Leda to do, it becomes good and attractive for Fintan, for us, right? So,
do you think on this board he should be betting larger with his better value hands, or are you happy out using the smaller sizing for this reason, because I can attack him more? Because I wouldn't touch it, like I would not have come after him if he had a bet like 70%, right?
Sure.
I'm just wondering, because this is a board where if I had like Jack 10 plus, I'd bet large.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, like I don't actually know the answer to that question in a way that I would normally be comfortable giving the answer. I think that is fine though. I think it's fine from this slot at a minimum, like sets and things into this sizing.
Okay.
The thing is, from his perspective, I know that protection is going to be pretty important, and so it's going to be tough for, like you mentioned Jack 10. I think it's going to be tough for him to bet Jack 10 and Queen Jack to like really small sizings at a super high clip.
Okay.
And it's going to be complicated in position, because as the in position player, bet 3-betting is not so great, but like letting you realize equity is kind of complicated. So I'm not sure how much bet 3-betting he's going to want to do here. So it's just complicated.
Yeah, he shoved in my face.
I would overcall.
Listen about. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the flop check looks good. And I would continue checking. I would have just continued checking. I don't disagree with you that, like, presumably you're betting because you felt like protection was important.
Yeah.
But I think that the other two players are probably checking too many hands that, I don't know that they have to defend so many hands that this is going to be clean enough. And I would also be concerned about 2-betting still. So I would have just
my hand's pretty face up is the thing.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the weakest flop when you check back. So
yeah.
Like, I'd be concerned at this point that he gets like a little bit too dense, like 8s and 9s as well, and like 7-8 suited or something. That like those are still really high frequency checks for him or something like that.
I don't think Lolita Lopez has many hands that beat me though, because I think all them pairs like 8s, 9s, 10s, they're all in pre.
All in pre.
Marco Vitas for the So obviously we're worried about Marco Vitas still having those hands, and he might even occasionally check a Jack twice. I guess it's unlikely, but maybe like Jack 9 suited or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little tough to strip all the pairs out of Leda's range with Quid a Bear on the stack size that Quid a Bear has on a final table, though. I'm not saying that it's not.
8s, 9s, and 10s are pretty strong for like to be able to put pressure on Marco Vitas as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like 10s for sure I can strip out.
Okay.
Yeah, 8s and stuff, I think the population would have a harder time. Yeah, complicated. I think that's good. Sizing seems fine.
I don't think I can ever like. I know I can leverage this whole stack with a small bet, but it feels like very dicey to me.
Seems pretty efficient though. Like your blockers
so?
seem really good. I feel like the weaker parts of his range are going to be offsuit, are going to be Broadway combos with like spades or Broadway combos with a heart or something. You will unblock all of the Broadway stuff, and you unblock all of the backdoor flush draw type stuff, and then kind of compounding that. We're in a similar situation where we don't expect him to have any pairs. So like when he has a pair, he's a 9, and I mean, like obviously this bet's not going to be that efficient against 9x exactly, but
9x might
against a range of like, you know,
too.
Go ahead.
9x might play for stacks on the flop a decent amount too, maybe.
Yeah,
or do you
sure.
think he should just?
Yeah. So I think against a composition that's like 9x aces or bust, I bet.
Okay.
I'd also meet like I would like it's super gangster, but I might have shoved the river.
Yeah, I'm never finding that. I guess you think he should shove all his value.
I just don't believe that he's value betting 9x much. Like I kind of feel like maybe he is, but like I don't see how he has a 4 ever. I mean, I guess he can have aces, but I just feel like this is a situation where it's so easy for the villain to like bluff all of the busted hearts and like bluff all of the busted spades. And that range is being supported by 9x that is going to have to bet call the river. I don't know. I'd be like lots of luck in that jam.
Okay.
But it's like, you know, it's like fucking insane. So, but I'd still do it.
Someone's asked, I'm not sure if you're going to have a lot to elaborate on this, but he's asked several times, says, can you elaborate on raise first in sizings at 25 big blinds plus and how it changes big blind defense range in terms of offsuit hands? He's just asked a lot. I'm not sure if there's a lot you could like have to say about it, but I just thought I'd put it out there anyway.
Sure. So I think it's, as long as the sizing is balanced, as long as the sizing is constructed properly, I don't think that the from the perspective of the opener, I don't think it's going to matter that much. As long as you're not like min raising at really deep stack depths. Part of the reason for that is because as the raise first in or as the opener, you get an extraordinary return on a pretty incremental increase in bet sizing against the big blind. So if you min raise against, if you min raise and that's your raise first in sizing, in a lot of situations the big blind will be allowed to VPIP, I don't know, 85% of hands, something like that, and 100% of suited hands. And very quickly, there's an extraordinary impact on the big blind's ability to defend as you marginally increase the bet sizing to like 2.3 or 2.4x. And so, like, with the exception of that, I don't think there's a big difference. Like, if you choose to 2.3x or 2.5x or 2.6x, I don't think it matters.
Hopefully that's what you're looking for. You are folding this with Poker Pro was I'm not, obviously we're only going through hands that I didn't VPIP if it was a mistake or hands that I VPIP, so we haven't really got a picture, but Poker Pro was going absolutely nuts in this tournament. Just for what it, like, I'm just pointing that out, so it wasn't ideal to have him on my left, but
sure.
Would you still want to VPIP this one?
Nope, not necessarily. Okay. He's definitely could be enough to constrain all of like a huge fraction of what would be, the bottom of a raise first in range. He could be enough for sure. It'd be fine. Sure. So I mean, like one of the things to start with is like you have to reassess the big blind defending strategy when you get to final tables, because a large fraction of your opponents are going to be defending much tighter ranges. And as a result, these like low card paired boards, which normally in Chip EV, so basically outside of final tables and things, these flops are normally not, can normally be maybe a little bit complicated. They get a little bit simpler if his defending range tightens up dramatically, and he has like no offsuit 6x, very few offsuit 6x combos, and you can just bet. In addition to that, like his fold to c-bet goes up, so I probably just bet.
Yeah, I think you're probably gonna be mad for this one then, because I shouldn't fold then. If I remember I folded in game and it felt dirty, but
Yeah, I'd call.
yeah, okay. Oh shit, 1 sec. I'm not calling that, are you?
Not if poker pros using like large bets and like going super nuts. No.
Okay.
If like so, it's directly tied to how aggressively or passively they play post flop. So you have a bluff catcher. If they make bluff catching easy, it's fine to call. And if they make bluff catching fucking horrible, then you should fold.
You okay with folding this one?
Yeah, same rationale would apply.
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough hand to fold, but you're getting you have quitted bear and someone whatever and Leda, and if Poker Pros is leveraging that really hard, I could fold. I mean, like you're gonna against Poker Pro, you're probably gonna want to play a bet 4-bet strategy, and this hand bet 4-bet's fine. Obviously, it's like a huge disaster to bet 4-bet if he's 3-betting less than like 28% plus, probably like some super stupid number.
Okay.
But if he's 3-betting more than that, let's go.
This is the hand does everyone remember at the start of the stream when I said there's one hand when BBZ is either going to laugh at me or tell me I'm an idiot? Like, obviously this is 100% check raise, and I don't know what happened in game. I just called, and I haven't ran it, but I'm sure that it's 100% check raise, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I just remember, I don't know why I just called, but we did.
Okay. I'm fine with it. Like, I don't disagree with that.
But you can touch on it more if you want to like elaborate, because obviously that's just my words, not yours.
No, I mean, like, it's the reason that Fintan's saying it's a spot to check raise is because we unblock ace-x, right? And so like we get a little bit of protection in the sense that his ace-x is drawing to 2-pair because it always has at least 5 outs, and at the same time we unblock all of those hands that we can value bet against, and we need to have a check raise sometimes, and like this is a pretty reasonable way to do it. So yeah, sure. I mean, I don't disagree with that. You could have check raised the flop. Would have been like the standard answer.
This spot, obviously, I don't think I should have this hand a lot of the time, but I wasn't sure when I got here whether I'm like, if I had ace 5 or ace 7 for what it's worth, chat. I don't know if I'm right, but I would have always called the ace-x 2 pairs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you would have check raised them at some amount, maybe more so ace 5 than ace 7.
I check raise them sometimes, but infrequently. They would be called mostly.
Okay. So basically, if I had ace 5 or 7, what I was going to get at is that I'd be just holding on and I would call this turn.
Mm-hmm.
But with this hand, I felt it was a bit vulnerable, and I check shoved, and I just don't know if it's good. Like, it feels like I have to protect it, but I don't know.
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
It's awfully hard to bluff like this though. So. Like,
yeah, I mean, I could have maybe like 5x of hearts or something, like 5-4,
sure.
5-6 sometimes.
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
But I think this is fine. This is how you. This is the best answer as far as I can tell.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Hoocherlid. Thank you for the Twitch Prime, bud. If anyone is subbing, I'm missing them, by the way, so apologize. But obviously, just concentrating on this for now.
You should all sub, all of you.
Some good free content. I remember because he was going nuts. I was wondering if I could shove a pre, but it felt like a little bit too much.
Probably not.
Probably not too much, or
yeah,
not can't shove it?
Probably not. Like with this number of stacks that have like 15 bigs or less, it's going to be like awfully hard, I think, for you to jam. It's going to take a lot. I mean, like, I don't know like what you mean by crazy, right? So if by crazy you mean 35%, I'm going to say no, you can't jam.
No,
if by crazy you mean like 65%, maybe, probably.
There was one hand he played where he opened under the gun. I think it was against Quitted Bear, and he turned up with like 6-9 suited. So like that's obviously he's opening pretty wide, 9-handed under the gun with 6-9 suited, and there was a few other hands. that he'd definitely been pretty wide. But obviously, I don't know the exact percentages. I can't pretend I do.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I would be doing the same thing. I'd be running through an exercise where I'm trying to correlate those hands to like frequencies. Part of the problem though is that like the suited stuff is a little bit less telling than the offsuit stuff, just because, especially like the low suited stuff with like where he's got board coverage, he's got the ability to barrel across multiple streets. Like he could be like, even if he pulls a hand like 7-5 suited or 8-5 suited out or something like that, the hand might look like it's in the bottom fraction of the deck, but he could still be playing like a 35 to 40% open or something. So.
Okay. All right. So this hand is probably the biggest hand on the FTI play. I can give my thoughts if you can give your thoughts.
No, go for it. So. Biggest hand he played.
No, obviously.
Let's hear it.
No, it's like obviously this is my thoughts, and then you can like critique them in whatever way. When he checks back this flop, it feels like as he's chip leader, and with the stacks the way they are, this is a board that he should be betting with a hugely high frequency. Would be my thoughts given the positions. So when he checks back, it just feels like pretty capped straight away. But I've just been told in the chat that he's like a very good Zoom 500 reg, so I guess he's going to be less capped than I first imagined. I didn't know that at the time.
Sure.
So when he bets the turn, obviously he can have pucketries, but again, I think that probably should see bet, but I could be wrong in that thoughts. But other than that, like this turn's not really going to improve him a lot, and I feel like I can have a lot more two pairs. I can have all the queen jacks, and then I can still have maybe nines, pucketries. So I just decided that he's pretty capped and I was going to go for it. And I was going to show river on bricks. Obviously, I would have been much happier with spades if they had it came in. But I don't know how do you think this is silly on the final table, or can you get behind it a little bit, or where are we at so far? Because it gets a little bit sillier on the river.
Sure. I can get behind it. Part of the reason is because he's got that weaker preflop range that you mentioned, right? And so like you have to overlay that with all the other stuff that you said. So like you made the assumption that he was probably capped. I think at the time you were also making the assumption that like whether you knew it or not, that like he's also raising a lot of hands. And so as you know, by definition, he's going to have less queen jack.
No, 100%.
Yeah. And so he's going to have less pocket tens, less sets, right, as a fraction of his entire range. So he's going to show up with like more check back flop, probe turn for protect, thin value bet turn for protection with like 10-7 suited. So if he's opening 9-6 suited, he can have 10-7 suited. Maybe he checks that hand on the flop. You check twice, hands need lots of protection, he bets now. And so he's going to show up with more of that than, your average player here. And so I think two betting becomes like reasonable. But in addition, like bluff catching just like sucks. So folding a little bit more and adopting more aggressive strategies like at the margin where possible is going to be effective. So sure.
Okay. And then we get this river card, which is very interesting in my opinion. I think my hand is now, in my opinion, too good to bluff.
Sure.
So we check, he shoves, we go in the tank, and we call. Shit. But I would have, in this situation, like I think, now again, correct me if I'm wrong, this definitely feels like a better call than 10-9. Definitely feels like, it almost feels like a better call than pocket trees almost, to me. But I'm not sure about pocket trees. But definitely like 10-9 and king tree suited and stuff like that. This hand, I would have, because basically I would have folded 10-9 on the river. But this feels like possibly one of the best hands I'm going to get the call. That's not like super nutted, right? And I probably shove if I have a flush. Probably shove still if I've got queen jack. So
sure.
I'm not sure.
Sure. So first, it's definitely a better call than 10-9. I think that when he ends up jamming for over pot, he's not really value betting many one pair hands when the river's an ace and the flush fills. So since he's not value betting one pair hands, 10-9 does nothing, right? Like a hand like 10-9 does you no favors. So this hand's better than that as far as I'm concerned. That's part one. Part two is I think I would have bet, to be honest. Like I probably would have bet like 265K, like 235K, something like that. I probably would have underbet. Sorry, I moved away from the mic for a second.
Your microphone went for like a brief second.
Yeah, but yeah, I probably underbet to like 235K, something like that, and then deal with it if he decides to two bet. But I think once you check, this hand's
when you say deal with it though, where are you falling on the most part? Because like you're saying deal with it, but like where do you think you're gonna?
I'm gonna call.
If he does shoot. You're gonna call? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna underbet to like 235k to try to monetize a range that's like really weak still. Like I think that his pre-flop range being so weak means he's gonna end up like really dense like jack tens and jack nines and things. And so if you bet like 200k, he has to call with all those hands, and like all of those hands are gonna look like really good jams. So, but like as a fraction of his whole range, the nuts is like a relatively small part, and like the ace of spades is gonna carve out a lot of flushes. And the jack of spades is going to make it really challenging for him to have flushes. I mean, he's going to have more because his pre-flop range is weaker, but it's still going to be challenging for him. And he's going to have a lot of hands that look like they can shove. And so, yeah, I'm going to end up bet calling hands like this one after betting 230k. But when you check, I think this hand's like the best hand you have to call with, and I just think it's fucking awesome. So I like to fucking call.
Okay. Yeah. So he was a little bit less capped than I thought when you see this hand straight away. Big Sealer in the chat asked, I'm just going to ask because I know for a fact that you do, but he asked, do you play pure strategies only or?
No, I definitely mix.
Yeah.
I definitely mix. But I mix when because this is like, you know, Birdie's I'll answer that question more thoroughly. Like I mix when I don't think when I think that the options are at 0 EV. So I don't mix for the sake of mixing. Like I don't mix because like I saw it in a sim and then the sim said mix. I mix because, like in my estimation, which is obviously like flawed, but in my estimation, I have two answers that are close to generating the same EV, and then I'll mix, right? Because that's the definition of when you're supposed to do it. But in a lot of these situations, so like for example that last hand with the ace jack, the population's probably going to under 2-bet the river, even though I said I would call. Population's probably going to under 2-bet the river, particularly on the thin value bet side. So like if you end up with a range that's too dense. Thin value bets, like they're supposed to be value shoving like pretty thinly themselves, and their population is going to be horrible at that. And so he's going to like I'm gonna the EV of relative to like an equilibrium baseline or like a Peel solver model or something. Betting small is going to, I think, kind of outperform that baseline. So I don't think I would have mixed there. Now mixing with check, sure, like I could mix with check, but it's like it's tough because I think that betting small is gonna kind of EV maximize still. So I probably don't check much.
Last touch on that King Jack hand. Do you like his bluff? A few people in the chat were asking, should he be checking or do you like it?
What was I didn't see what the the colors were.
He had the King of Spades. Let me see if what did I have?
You had ace jack of spades.
Where is it?
Yeah, there you go.
You there? Oh,
Yeah, I'm thinking. No, I don't like it. So when you bluff catch, so I think that when you, I'm pretty sure I don't like it. I don't think this hand does close to anything for bluffing. So like when you check raise the turn, I feel like you're going to have sets sometimes or something, right? But like you can't have kings really. So like maybe you have threes or tens or nines. Like those seem like possibilities because so check flop, you check turn, he bets, you raise, right? So where are your value bets being drawn from? So your value bets are probably being drawn from like 10-9, 10s, 9s, threes. Like those all seem reasonable. This hand does nothing for that. Like it blocks king 10. Sure, I guess. Like it blocks queen jack. Sure, I guess. But like the king of spades is, I guess, a relevant flush blocker. But like I feel like it's going to be less often the case that you check raise like some king x of spades hand. So like I would much rather have the jack be the spade. Like I just don't feel like his hand does anything. So
yeah, I'm not check raising the turn with any king x of spades, like unless it's maybe king 10 of spades, but I'm nearly never check raising that either.
Yeah, I just feel like his hand does nothing. So like I feel like he just took like a hand that's like it has a spade in it, and like this guy checked and it's hard to call, so I'm all in. And
okay,
sure. Rather bluff with something else. So same idea applies. You can apply a lot of pressure because you're basically borrowing from freelancer here, right? You're borrowing from freelancer. You're borrowing from quit a bear. So you can end up with like a higher frequency C bet than you normally would. Large sizings are going to be appropriate. A lot of your value bets are going to be. A lot of your value bets are going to need protection, like jacks and 10x and things. So like large bets will be appropriate, but I don't think that you should be using large bets always. So I would be mixing sizings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to bet big if I got like a6 or something. Just as an example.
Sure, that seems fine. I think the higher frequency C bet strategies are going to be, reasonably good. So. Yep, that seems fine. Just putting the fucking screws to them, baby. Yeah, that looks good too.
178k as well.
Yeah, exactly. You're just leveraging that stack size for sure.
This is I don't know if sort of fell into the same category considering that I just shoved 2 hands in a row, but I felt it was good enough to raise call, so I'm not sure if this is a mistake.
I would just jam. It's not so much that it's not good enough to raise call as much as you don't really generate any more EV from doing it. So like the times that you flip kind of offset the time. So flipping's not good because you you'd rather not flip. Even though you have more chips than everybody else, you'd still rather not flip.
Even when they have huge bounties, should I not want to flip? I know because obviously the.
Oh yeah, that's right. Fuck. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Let me just get the bounties. Let me get the bounties in this hand just to see what's going on.
No. Like to be honest, my mind kind of shortcuts to like the normal final table answers. Like I kind of like the KO overlay. Like to consider to take it into account is something that's like doesn't happen by default. So yeah, I think raise calling is probably fine.
Okay.
Oh shit! We open ace-5 offsuit. I love it. Yeah.
Well, this guy has 3 big blinds.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, so I said, yeah, I love it. Looks good. Yeah, I think it's fine. You can still win against the button, right? So.
Yeah. This one I remember tanking. Let me get his bounty. It felt super close, and I'm still not sure. I did call, but I don't know if it was right. So this is freelancer. He has a $3,000 bounty. At the time, the bounties were 2,500, 1,800, 17, 3,300, 92, and 21. So he's got the second biggest bounty. Mm-hmm. But obviously Jack 7 is a.
How much did you say it was again?
Terrible hand. It was $3,000.
That's the total number, though, right? From the hand history. So yours is half that, or is that what you're gonna get? Because it matters.
It's from the hand
obviously.
history. It obviously, of course. I'm not sure though.
I'm pretty sure that.
I always thought that was the amount on there. You'll get half that, says Murpert in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, so his bounty's $1,500.
Sure, that makes more sense. So that's 12x. So 12x.
8,000, right? So 96k.
Yeah. So let's just add 100 to this, right? So it's going to cost us 330 to win 980. So we're going to need 34% equity. You probably have something like 32-ish, if I had to guess. You're going to have an ICM tax, so as well. So I'd fold. It's quite close though.
Parker in the chat. I'm just wondering if this is because he says.
Oh, you get double the bounty when we win. And winning looks good. Look at Parker. I hadn't even fucking considered that. Holy shit. You guys should subscribe to Parker.com and get some fucking aces. Get some coaching from him.
Parker.com.
Yeah. Go check out Parker. Fuck. Parker's right. Fuck. Parker's right. Yeah.
That's hard to say, and I think it's a really big moment.
Oh my god. Now I want to call. Go to hell, Parker.
We called. We did not win.
I like that.
I wanted to run it, but I celebrated on that. I celebrated on that river because I thought I won. I didn't notice.
Yeah, I mean it's really close, and you never celebrate until you get the chips, baby. But yeah, it's really close. So.
Do you ever 3-bet this one? I felt awkward with the stacks behind, but maybe that's.
I think
that's
that
an excuse.
yeah. So I think that one of the things you need to do is try to keep really good track of like what his raise first in looks like, whether or not he's like basically he needs to really respect the situation that he's in, right? So if he's playing appropriately, should we 3-bet this? Probably not. Our opponent's going to be skewing towards like a 4-bet. If he's playing well, he should be skewing towards a 4-bet strategy, and that's going to mean that like our 3-bet strategy is going to skew towards blockers. And like this doesn't do that much in that regard. So, equilibrium wise, probably not. But lots of people just don't respect how tight their ranges still need to be here. Since bluff catching is no good, they need to skew their defending strategy to 4-bet, and that's going to be hard. So I don't mind 3-betting.
Do you think we can ever? It's not something I would do, but I would flat like if I queen 8, queen 9 suited for sure sometimes. But would you ever flat queen 6 suited just because we can play in position against him, make his life very difficult, or is it just a little too wide?
I mean, dude, I do tons of dumb shit because I can screw with people and make their lives hard. So yeah, I mean, I might do it. I might flat. Yeah.
One sec, pause there for once if you want. Just
what's up?
You just went robot-y for about 20 seconds there. So you said you do dumb shit to make people's lives hard, and then if you want to go again.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I don't know what the deal is. Yeah, get Tonka in here. Yeah, so I mean, like I think that flatting to make his life hard. So basically, what's going to happen is you're going to over-realize post-flop. So like when you 2-bet, it's going to be really challenging for him to play. So when you call pre-flop, get to the flop, he bets, you raise. That's going to be very, very difficult for him. In addition to that, I think his post-flop strategy involves less triple barreling. Like he's not going to be able to value bet 3 streets, like bet very easily. And he's also so like all of those things means he's going to play more passively post-flop. So you're going to over-realize when you call. So like I don't mind calling. I don't mind calling.
Okay, nice. He's back now. He went robot-y for a second, but we're good.
The punt's good.
30 big blinds. Just happy just shoving, yeah?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm doing anything there.
I probably am.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm probably squeezing.
God damn. Okay. I know like these are the hands that you like to use. It just feels like, I guess it doesn't matter that it just looks too obvious and too good of a spot for me. But I guess I can't do much about it if they don't have it right.
Yeah, they can't do anything about it. I think jamming's a possibility. And I think when we don't jam, 3-betting non all in is a possibility. I would be fine with both. Like I'm pretty sure jamming's better than it looks. So.
Okay. This is like an all-in size essentially. So.
Yeah.
I wonder why I folded that one. Like I don't mind folding normally, but it seems like everybody's folding to me and there's no reason to fold this one.
Yeah, I would have raised.
Oh wait, did I call that 10-9? No. Might get mad at me, this one.
No, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
I mean, we checked on a similar board against it before, and you start betting, right?
Sure. At shorter stack depths, you protect the checking range with the nuts. Is basically the way that it works. So like, it's not super obvious that you just want to bet range here, and you could. He's like sufficiently short that maybe his defending strategy is. A little bit, it like allows you to bet range or something, but defaulting to the assumption that that's not the case is probably a reasonable one. And then like at this SPR, you're going to protect your checking range with the nuts because you can get stacks in across the future streets without it having any consequences. So you're going to be value betting essentially with like the hands like pocket 8s and 9s and like A7 and blah 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 and checking hands like this one. So this is fine.
I know
this seems awfully small though.
It just, yeah. I guess it's just because I've got the nuts and like I just think that he might pick it up for weakness with like a 7 or 5. He never has a 10 when he checks me, I don't think. But I don't know. Again, like if I had a 10, I would 100% bet bigger. If I had like diamonds, I'd probably bet bigger. You know, like I bet bigger with most stuff. It's just because I've got the nuts.
Yeah, we just end up having
I think I should still bet like 70%.
We just end up having to jam the river basically, for close to that, which kind of sucks. But yeah, I'm not betting like way bigger than this. I would just bet bigger than this. Like 140 seems fine. 138.
Yeah, okay,
something like that.
So this is the spot where I should bet, right? Oh no, he's super shallow. So
it's complicated.
Would you bet fold this hand ever or?
No. So I think I would just check. I don't know. I'd probably keep checking.
I wanted to call this river. I didn't call, but I just like. I think his size is like. I don't think he checks a queen twice. I'm not sure if he's capable of on this river card betting that size with an 8, and then it's like river 2 pairs with a 4. He's not gonna have a heap of 2 pairs with a 4 on this board pre-flop. Like, I don't think. But I mean, I didn't call. It's just it felt close, but I feel like you can just bluff any 5, any 7, any 3. I feel like you can bet a lot. Do you think it's just super ambitious to ever want to call anyway?
Sure. So like, I would start with the fact that you definitely have to clear an MDF here. So, which makes it, complicated. You're gonna have to defend 60-ish% of your range, I think. Yeah. So, I mean, like, we're gonna have to defend something like that. And this hand's probably gonna trump some fraction of your ace high hands, and like most of your range is gonna be unpaired. So you're gonna have to defend a lot of like ace high hand equivalents. This hand's close to that. So I mean, like I think you should feel like it's close.
Yeah.
And like I think if you have something like ace 9 or like ace 9 offsuit, like ace 9 no heart, or like ace 10 no heart, or like ace jack. Yeah, ace jack maybe not, but like ace 9 no heart, ace 10 no heart, maybe those are worse for calling the river than king jack with the jack of hearts. And like I think like ace 3 is like probably going to be close to pure call because he just never bluffs with ace high. And so like if I think ace 3 is pure call, like king jack with the jack of hearts, it has to be kind of close, right? So I think it's close.
All right, so raise queen 7, gets shoved on. Do we block?
It's complicated. I'm fine with it.
Poker's a complicated game.
Yeah, I'm fine with it though. Yeah, that seems fine. Are you okay with this flat or trying to get that booty, man? Yeah, I think so. I'm also okay with putting him in if he's opening enough. So.
Okay. Same spot like Marco. I feel like I've let Marco have a pretty easy final table when I look back at his hand history. It's my first time seeing the hands back.
Sure. Doesn't feel like you've gone after him at all.
Yeah, 100%.
And it feels like his raise for Stin is higher than it's supposed to be.
Probably, yeah. I mean, he could definitely be just coming after that big blind as well, right? Like he could be trying to get the bounty. So I wonder if we're gonna like you just so I can't shove this pre-dive, right? That's too out of
That's
line.
too much.
Yeah. No, I thought
mean,
so.
Like you could. So I mean, like, okay, let's go and let's work through a set of assumptions really quickly. So we'll do it fast. So let's assume he doesn't want to fold like tens plus and ace queen plus when you jam, which he should probably fold ace queen. That's 4.6% of the deck. So let's start with a set of assumptions. Let's assume he raise calls ace queen plus and tens plus. That's 4.5% of the deck. All right. If you pull tens out and ace queen out, it's about 3.3% of the deck. Okay. If we assume he's opening something like 30, he's going to look at something like an 80 to 90% fold to shove. So
Okay.
Shoving, and then you have like the KO overlay and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, if he's opening 30% plus and he's calling reasonably, you could jam. I wouldn't necessarily do it though. And so like that leaves, you know, flatting and 3-betting, not all in. I'm good with both.
Okay.
But if he gets too out of line, like if he tries to raise 40% or something or 35, you just jam. Just deny him all the equity. You should probably use offsuit combos to do that though, but whatever. All right. Nice.
How do you feel about like obviously it's a small bit suspicious that it's his limp for the first time, and someone in the chat wants to know what about the sizing. I can say why I went small after, and I can see if you agree. Or I can say it first. Like I just think that his limp, like I'm pretty suspicious of his limp, so I don't want to make it too big because I think I am going to get shoved on quite frequently. But I'd prefer put some chips in the middle, and like he's not going to have any hands that limp fold anyway, so I don't feel like there's much value in me. Like, I'm not going to be able to make it like 4 big blinds and he folds. I don't think. So I don't know, but if that logic's wrong, let me know.
No, I don't think so. Seems reasonable. I'm good with everything you said. Basically, I don't have anything to add. I don't think it should be like really large, and I think the non-all-in strategy is just going to have more leverage anyways. So like I think that yeah, like when you ISO, bluff catching is not that good, so it's going to function as though you bet a larger sizing anyways.
Okay.
Because we're on the final table. So yeah, I'm fine with it. Sure, that seems fine.
Would you open this?
What's up?
Would you open this 2-6?
I'd probably limp it, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, that seems decent.
Limp first in seems good.
TJ says, when he limps, what do you put him on? See the connectors and big pairs? I just think I put him on hands that, you know, he's going to want to see a flop with. It's not going to be like Jack 9 off, you know? So it's just going to be stuff that, for the most part, it's going to continue. And it's going to be probably a reasonable amount of traps. But I still think it's better than folding for when the times he has like Jack 10 suited and he calls and just plays the hand out of position or whatever. Do you ever raise this as a bluff? Not all in, like?
Yeah, so I think that in this situation, the ISO strategy is going to be polarized. So I think it's going to be like a lot of offsuit combos that look really shitty. So the reason for that is because I think that Freelancer's counter strategy is going to be to, again, like limp, jam, or fold. It's going to be really hard for him to like call and allow Marco into the pot. And so like, you know, using like offsuit hands that just block limp shoves like King 4 offsuit or King 5 offsuit, I think is going to be the way that you ISO. This hand's kind of proximate to those hands, so I don't have a huge problem with using this one. I think it's fine.
Okay.
This sucks. I guess I raised to a small sizing.
Is that small enough?
Yep. I mean, I might have made it 110, but I mean, it's close to small enough. I don't have a problem with it. Keep going small.
Yeah, I talked about this hand with a few people. I think I think it's a pretty big mistake to check. Like, it feels pretty big because if he has a jack, he's going to stack me anyway, and I just want to deny him equity with his draws and some pairs, potentially some 10x at this point. So it felt like a big mistake to check. And then
Sure. So basically, like from my perspective, there's not going to be a huge, like your kicker is going to matter, but it's not going to be like overly relevant. And part of the reason for that is because when you have trips, it's hard for him to have trips, because that would mean that all the jacks are stripped out of the deck.
It's only one jack left.
Yeah, exactly. So he's gonna be like more likely to have sevens and eights and nines and things. Like he's probably gonna isolate those types of hands, but like let's like call it flush draws. I guess he's more likely to have flush draws. Maybe he's more likely to have hands like threes specifically, or fours or something. And you end up with like a mathematical problem where because when you have trips, he doesn't have trips, and betting small is really effective. I don't want explaining would take me like a little while, and my audio might die before I get the explanation out. So I think that I would just bet like 30% here, and that would be how I would continue with my value bets and my bluffs. And I think that's probably the most efficient bet size you have. So that's what I would have mostly done.
Okay. So say we bet 180, 160, and we're looking at 800 on the river, and he has just over a mil. Are we shoving on brick rivers, or?
Nope.
Because obviously just going small again.
Yep.
Okay. I overbet the river. I don't know. Like, I feel like he never has a jack when he checks back the turn. Instead, I did bluff with like 4 or 5 dimes or something. I might bluff the river. I don't know if I would. Like, I'm just saying that, like, he wouldn't definitely bluff the river, but I'm just trying to think, like, if I was bluffing, I'd bet big, so, because I think he's pretty capped, but maybe I don't need to, and just target his missed flush draws with a small size. I'm not sure.
No, I think this is, I think that once he checks back the turn, making the assumption that he's light jack X is probably appropriate, and then as a result, when you bet this size, he's probably gonna have to defend something like 45% of his non-jack X hands. And because like he just doesn't have jack X, so he's gonna have to defend 45% of his range, and most of that's gonna be non-jack X. So once the turn checks through, the fact that you block jack X is less relevant, and you can scale the bet sizing back up again. So I think this is okay. I'm okay with this.
Okay. All right.
Oh, well, hold on. Go back to the 7-2 offsuit. I wouldn't have folded. So
just.
I don't care. Figure it out. 3x, 3.5x. Yeah, just don't fold.
Okay. All right. Is that mostly because of the stack sizes and the pressure I can put on him, or?
Yeah, it's a distribution. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like with the overlay, you can probably such strong language. You can probably jam. Like with the overlay of the KO, you can probably jam.
Okay. At least I didn't fold 2 weak ones, eh?
There you go.
Just making markers. I mean, I probably do check this one even out. Do you think it's okay to check, or like can I shove because of the stacks? I would check this. Like I would never do anything else. So I wonder.
Sure. So again, so like the thing is, like we want to run like a super high frequency ISO here to leverage like the other 3 stacks at the table and the fact that he's in second. I don't know if I get, like, I kind of doubt I get to use like 100% ISO. I don't think that that's necessarily going to be great. So to the extent that it's like 40%, it probably makes sense for it to be like super polarized. And so like these middling hands for them to be checks, it seems reasonable. I'm okay with it. I'm okay if you ISO too, and you just want to check like the suited variations of this hand. I'd be fine with that. But yeah.
Okay.
I would have
never really checked this flop. Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't check it very often. But I guess we did this time.
Yeah, sure. Sure. Yep, go to the larger, probably fine. Sure.
I remember I talked about this hand with Parker afterwards. We're getting it in on the flop, right? It feels really fucking dirty, but what am I doing if you check raises? Check shoves.
Depends on the size.
It feels like I have to call. What happens if you check shoves?
If he jams, you can probably fold because you're. Oh, like okay, that's before you adjust for the KO. So like after you adjust for the KO, maybe you have to call. But You'd be able to fold it otherwise, so I'd have to think about it in the context of like what the KO would mean and how much money was on his head. And like off the fly, I don't know the answer, but I think we'd be able to fold against check shove. Because I think that like the way that you would have to build his shoving range, you're not gonna end up with enough equity to like have to call it off. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, he's never gonna check shove like. Do you think he like? I don't think.
You're probably gonna have like 45%
that's
equity or something, but like that's not gonna
big.
be a good enough price. I don't think.
Okay. Okay. You okay with folding? Or should I be calling or shoving?
I mean, yeah, I mean, like, shoving's totally viable if, like, in these formats where his raise call is going to be constrained and you have an overlay from the KO, like, shoving can come in for sure. So, like, it's going to be really sensitive to what his raise first in strategy looks like.
Okay.
And like, I probably would have called if I didn't. Yeah, I probably would have called if I didn't jam. So I wouldn't have folded Jack 10 probably. Because like in this, part of the difference is if the big blind had jammed there with that Jack 10, if the big blind had jammed and the opener had folded, you actually get to call it off. So with the KO overlay, this seems fine. I don't mind if you use a limb first in strategy there either, but you know, whatever. What do you have here? It just seems like he's raising way too much. Can we talk a little
bit more? Parker's asking, can we talk about the betting the big size with the A3 because you liked it? I'm gonna get that.
Yeah, I just think that like that situation call. So I think that the limp call from the small blind is, yeah. I think it's like going to be really dense medium strength hands pre-flop. So like the Jack 10 type hands. I think it's gonna be really difficult for him to trap. So fucking hell, man.
The mic sounds alright right now.
Does it actually sound alright?
Like right now it does. It's
I think it's the connection.
It's not your mic, by the way. It's the connection.
I think it's my connection probably. And like, cause the mic is dope, but I think it's the connection. I don't know. I've had a problem recently. Anyways, so I think in this situation, the small blind is really dense, like Jack 10s, Queen Jacks, Queen 10s, because he's going to want to play to limp 3-bet pre-flop with like good ace high hands. And he's going to have to play to limp fold with like 7-6 offsuit. So that's going to mean like lots of protection and lots of value and like less risk of cutting ourselves as well. So that's why I'm a fan of scaling up the sizing.
Did I just turn on show no cards or something? Why did I see his hand? Dwayne, he did limp and I 3.5x'd in the big blind and he checked the flop.
Sure, let's just run this. Yeah, I probably just slam this hand. Yeah, that seems fine.
Would you ISO this one? Obviously I've ISO'd him a lot. I feel like he's gonna obviously start limp shoving on me at some point and this hand is okay to check, but I might be completely wrong in it because he's just limp folding so much I should keep it up. It does sound good, by the way.
Yeah, I'm good with both.
Okay.
I think that the sizing of the bet needs to be larger for the most part. So if I was going to bet, I would
flop or turn.
Turn. Flop, I think, is fine. So I would have bet like 280 or 290 or something if I decided to bet. I don't hate this, but I would have probably bet bigger.
Just makes river size a little tricky.
Yeah, I think you just have to go for it.
Okay.
Depends on how much money's on his head, but that's probably fine.
It is 2,600, so it's $1,300. this hand's dumb if it's the one I remember. How do you feel? Like, is it okay to 4x this with the stocks where they are now? Or?
Yeah, I'm good with it. I probably just keep checking.
Yeah.
I don't hate starting to bluff. I think it's fine. I would just be a little bit awkward with. It would be a little awkward for me with like the ace, king, queen, high hands here. Would be a little just a little bit awkward. So.
I wouldn't have bluffed if I didn't have a club. If that makes any difference, I'm not sure if it's enough.
I mean, I would just check call. So it's not like I'm check folding, but it's really close. Like I think betting was fine. This is an interesting spot. You have a really wide range of value bets to draw from. So
I mean, I can bet.
You could probably bet whatever the fuck you want.
Would
right?
you? Could I bet? Like I would. I don't know if it's wrong, but I feel like I could bet the size with a 9+. I wouldn't bet it with a 4. Is that too wide? Do you think? Does it need to be a good 9, or can it just be a 10 and a jack?
No, I think like ace 9. Like this could end up being like okay-ish. But yeah, like I said, I think you have a wide range of value bets to draw from. I think Jack X on average wants to bet bigger than this. I think 9x on average wants to bet smaller than this, but doesn't want to check. So you can bet. Like I can't like give you too much criticism as far as like what bet size you choose. It's probably going to be fine.
Okay. This is the hand, right? So we just done a lesson last week, and I'm interested what you say because I put it in the chat. You did talk about in ICM sensitive situations that, like for me in a spot, it would probably be better for me to have ace 5 off, right, and shove because he's open into the 2 short stacks and me as the chip leader. Mm-hmm. It is a little bit different, obviously, because it's winner. Like winner gets a lot more for first in these tournaments. So I'm just wondering if this is okay to shove, or I should just call this and then use like the ace 5s and whatnot.
Sure. So I mean, like it comes down to like what his raise calling range looks like, and to be honest, in this spot for you, it comes down like how much money's on his head and some other considerations too. Yeah. So this is probably fine, but yeah, like if his raise calling range is just purely paired, you'd do much better shoving ace high hands than shoving.
So like say Marco Vitas had, let's go back for 1 second. So Marco Vitas had like 250k. Then it's obviously a lot more ICM sensitive. Correct. Because he's going to be very aware. So in that case, you prefer the ace 5 over the deuces.
By a lot, yeah. I mean, like in that situation, if Marco Vitas had 250k, maybe JP is going to open jam hands like even like ace king and like not risk raise calling those hands, right? And so this raise calling range becomes purely paired, and then these under pairs are just screwed. So you just call.
Well, we got there anyway because I'm class. Do you think are you okay with me just? He's obviously short stack. Like, can I ever shove this? Like, I feel like I would never shove this, but would you ever?
Yep. It depends on how much money's on his head. Yeah. But it can definitely be a fine jam. I don't think you have to shove, but I think it's definitely going to be like a plus AV jam depending on how much money's on his head.
Do you think this hand can bet bigger?
So they just got checked down to the river, right?
Yeah.
I think this is fine.
Okay. This felt real close.
Yeah, I would fold. I mean, like it comes down to how much money's on his head again, so like it's complicated, but
yeah. All right, heads up. I'm shy at heads up, and so very happy to be critiqued a lot. I'm not very good. Are you okay with shoving the king 5? Like, seems fine, but.
So I mean, like, yeah. So like at 15 big blinds ish, the strategy is going to be dominated by limping and like jamming, and I can't remember exactly where king 5 offsuit falls, but I think jamming is probably going to be fine.
Okay.
So how many big blinds deep are we?
30.
Okay. Yeah, you're starting to see min raising come in at 30 for sure. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm okay with it. You could call, but I'm okay with that. There's only
Okay.
queen jack as far as dominating straight draws that could jam on you, so this seems fine.
Are you okay with ISO this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm be a little bit worried about your c bet heads up. Like, I think this is fine to bet.
Okay.
Like, most of it, you haven't made a mistake yet, but I would just watch the c bet frequency you're using. It seems like it's probably too high. Keep calling. Yeah. Go back. Let's just run that again.
So he limps sevens. Big size.
Okay, yeah, he's in position. Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, no, that's standard. That's fine.
Oh, wait, I think he folded from memory.
I don't think so. I think the shoving range at 20 big blinds here from the big blind will be purely offsuit hands. Similar to like how it works in the other spots. So you're shoving. This should be either a check or a non-all-in ISO, and then kind of deal with what happens if he jams on you.
Okay.
No, I would have bluffed the river.
Okay.
You don't really want to fold much unless he gives you like a really good reason to fold. Like he's playing stupid aggressive. He doesn't seem to be playing that way right now. So at 20 big blinds are going to mostly be limp first inning as your strategy, and you're just not going to fold any hands.
I call this in game. It's probably super ambitious on his 7th turn, right?
Yeah, there's worse things you could do, but you know, like having king queen is like give 2 high card hands. It's unlikely he bluffs with high card hands. His bluffing range is more likely to be drawn from some low card thing. So it's not like again that king high probably trumps some ace high hands. So I'm okay with that. And yeah, I'm okay with raising too. Someone said raising seems sexy. I don't have a problem with that either.
So check back, flop, and overbet turn.
Sure.
So we limp, min bet, min raise, call, check. You're looking at this now, I should bet really big, should I? Or am I completely wrong? I bet 270.
I don't know. This is like, I mean, I think that at equilibrium, if he thinks
it's a weird hand.
Yeah, I think that if he thinks you're betting all of your, like I think if he thinks you're limping, I don't know, close to 100, and then just betting flop with close to 100, he's probably supposed to check raise some like weak king X hands and things. And I don't know if he's doing that or not, but the line that he's taken so far seems like that's what he's doing. Yeah. So I think his play is good. And if that's what he's doing, then you needed to bet the river for sure. But if you're concerned that his range is too strong, like you can make some super paranoid check, I guess. But
no. I was wondering.
Or like super paranoid smaller bet. Yeah, but like I think that his range seems really dense, like the other stuff. I think this wasn't bad, but like it comes down to how much you think he check raises, which is a function of how much you think he check raises to flop with like medium strength hands. I don't think the population check raises the flop with medium strength hands that much, so I'm okay with what you did.
Okay. Don't fold this, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like this is going to be a hard hand to fold again. I would have completed.
See, like, I know you
these
said
are like high frequency c bets, but like not range. So, like this is fine. Like none of these.
Yeah, no, but I wouldn't c bet if I'd 7-6, but with 4-5, like.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. It just seems like you're betting every single one. So that's all.
No, but I feel like every time so far I've flopped a little bit of something.
Sure.
Like
Okay.
the deuce is a little bit of something. I could be wrong though. We'll see.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah. So like the thing that stands out is you're probably folding too many buttons, but that's easy to fix.
Which one did I fold? The 7 deuce. Okay. See again, like I'm definitely betting this one with the hearts. and the backdoor flush draw.
Yeah, I think that you want to check
sure,
some of these like medium strength ones that are like going to be a lot of equity to piss away against 2-bets. So
this was such a silly hand. I was freaked out by his sizing.
okay.
Maybe that's just it was just in game. It just felt weird. I was planning on impre raising all in or limp calling, but like the less than 3 big blinds when he hadn't done it before, it just freaked me out. And again, this freaked me out. It could obviously just be kings, jacks. I know, like you can't just go with stuff freaking you out, but like my plan was, I just kept calling, and then if you'd done it on the river, I was just going to shove. If you had a bet like 100k, but then you bet that, so I just called and like yeah, aces. But like I don't know if
oh my god,
just
you're
like
the fucking man. Just sign me up for fucking
No.
Fintan coaching at easywithaces.
but I don't know if I should just fucking raise, get this in, because like it just felt super suspicious though. Like everything about it was like, what the fuck's going on? Like it's such a dumb sizing,
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with Parker. He says tough to be scared on the flop, and it's like I agree. Like I was like, probably have the best hand. But I don't know. It just felt fucking dumb, and I just called. And I was gonna, if you had a bet like 150 on the river, I would have shoved.
The turn
Or
would have
raised
been
at
hard for
least.
me. The turn I would have probably two bet the turn.
The thing I know, like my logic in my head is that if he is blocking with kings and queens, right? I'm not saying they're the only options he can have. It's not like he has a lot of outs against me, even though it's a very scary board, right? Like, so I don't know. I was just fucking. It was this thing was the thing that freaked me out the most. I just don't think people like size down randomly unless they have like the nuts.
I think that so someone said that they don't see that much value in raising the turn. So go back to the turn really quickly.
It's Mr. Ryan Risk.
So against this turn sizing, I would have been like very attracted to 2-betting because I kind of disagree. I think that when he isolates pre-flop, you can be concerned about the flop. About his pre-flop range. Then you get to the flop, he bets really small. Okay, like maybe your alarm bells go off a little bit, but like maybe he just has jacks. Maybe he just has like ace-5 suited or something. And then when he continues with this like really small sizing, he continues to tell the story across like multiple streets. I just start to believe that he has jacks. Like it's just, like again, he's got the one combo of aces that would make a lot of sense to use this sizing, but do you really want to have ace king and use this sizing on the turn with like a 9-8x board texture with 2 flush draws? Like does that make sense with ace king? Does that make sense with ace queen? Like does that make sense with ace jack? I mean, if he has ace jack of clubs or ace queen of clubs, sure, I could see it, but I think that he ends up like really dense ace-3 suited in like queens, so I would have 2-bet.
Yeah, I agree that it's like king and queen a lot of the time.
And then when he bets like really big when he bets the sizing he chose on the river, I'm just like, holy shit, like you don't have kings anymore. So
okay. All right. Again, this is I wouldn't do this if I didn't have the 10 of spades, and I know it's easy for me to say that, but I have had it like every time. But I don't know. Obviously, maybe it just looks like maybe I am betting them too much.
I would have bet bigger still.
Bigger? Like how big?
Yeah. I mean, it's tough when you're out of position. Like out of position, you have a lot of options that are going to be reasonable. So it's not like this is bad. I just would have bet a little bit bigger. Probably would have bet like 420 something.
Okay. Again, not folding this, right?
Nope.
Would you be at 30 big blinds? Would you want to raise this or limp it more often?
Yeah. So when you get to like
raise.
40, there's just like a lot of raising that comes in. Like 30, 40, 50 big blinds. There's just a lot of raising that comes in. So it's just, I mean, like there's still a lot of limping too. It's a lot more mixing.
Yeah.
At shorter stacks, it's not so much mixing. It's just like limping or jamming. But at like 40, 50 bigs, it's like a lot of mixing. And then like I think 60, 70, 80 bigs, is a lot of raising.
You're all right using this as a bluff, right?
Yep.
How are you for time? Because like I know we're nearly done, but I feel like I've kept you for a lot. Like
No, I'm all right. We can finish it. I mean, we're heads up. Let's just finish it, man, for sure.
All right. He limps with 4x. This one feels too wide almost, but then it's like
Yeah,
such
so
a
we
good
just go back to the
I
pre-flop action. It happened really fast when I was talking. So
yeah, so he limps I4.
yeah, U4. Okay, sure. Yeah. Okay.
Remember, I bet small, but
Sure.
I'm not even sure if it achieves much. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
trying
I
to
think
think,
if I
but I
bet,
bet
I
an
bet like
ace on
something
the
like
turn.
235.
How much?
235, 235, something small.
235, even smaller. You know, but you wouldn't find a triple with this hand, though, right? Would you? Because like I would never find it. Like,
So not when spades fill. I think when spades fill, it gets really difficult. Like, I mean, let me rephrase. Like, no, probably not when spades fill, because I would have a hard time betting over. Yeah, I'd probably check.
yeah. Okay. I just find
Super
I mean,
sucks.
honestly, I'm not sure if I should, but I would probably not find it on any river card, to be honest. So that's why I'm just not sure if my bet on the turn's dumb, because I'm not going to follow through unless I make the
Oh no, I
flush.
think you can. I think you can bluff brick rivers for sure. I think if spades don't fill, you should bluff.
Okay. I mean, for one big blind, are you paying off river?
So go back. Can you like? It's going through really fast.
So just
go back.
checked all the way down.
Yeah. I just want to see. I think it's a mix. I think when you think about calling, you're going to call more when you have an ace or king in your hand, because those are going to be the hands he's less likely to bluff with. I would be looking at like. So I'll tell you what the problem is. The problem is that when he checks down to the river, his range is really dense, like hands that have showdown value already. Hands like ace high that don't really need to bluff. Hands like king high that don't really need to bluff. And so when he bluffs, the only reason that he'll ever get an incentive to bluff with the composition of hands he'll check down to the river with is if you actually are willing to fold pairs. And so like your 2x hands need to mix fold, but probably not when you have an ace or deuce. An ace or a king with your pair of deuces. So like if you have 2-3 or something, I think you should fold that. If you have like something like that, then you should fold. But I think this hand is okay to call.
Okay. You ever Ryan saying it makes one of your best bluffs? Do you think I should?
I think you
Ryan
just want to
has a
call
check
this variation. I think bluffing with some of the other ones will happen sometimes, but not a lot. You're not like when you check all the way down to the river. When you check all 3 streets all the way down to the river, and your opponent probably has ace jack, and he probably won't bet. It doesn't make that much sense for you to check a bunch of hands that can check raise, because you should just bet. So you can check raising in general is going to be something you do very rarely.
Yeah, I'm just folding too many hands that you wouldn't fold, right? Like.
Yep.
I'm definitely not good at heads up, but this hand was. Like at this stack depth, it felt like I could continue to ISO. Like I know like you want to be more polarized, but we're like getting a little bit deeper. But I'm not sure. Maybe you think I should still be checking this one. Like I wouldn't have ISO this at like 25, 30 bigs.
A lot of the suited Broadway stuff comes in. This is fine. I mean, it also depends on if he's using like a limp 3-bet shove strategy. But if he's using like a limp 3-bet click strategy, which is what he did, then this is gonna be great.
You're right.
I probably would have bet the turn, but I mean, I'm okay with checking, but I probably would have bet.
Okay. It's a weird limp raise.
Yeah, doesn't make much sense.
I remember I wanted to call. I didn't call, but like.
I wouldn't have called against him. I don't think I've seen him overbet at all yet, so I'd fold.
Okay. This one you're checking?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna check. Okay, let's go back to the beginning.
Okay. So I raise, call, c-bet, check, and then 400k. I wasn't sure in game if he was doing this with a queen, so I thought he only had an ace plus. I know he can still have a decent amount of aces, but
right.
I just felt that's just my like. I'm not saying it's like it makes it a good call. I'm just saying why I called. I think he can do this with like he could do it with like queen 10, queen jack, potentially king queen for sure. But I just didn't think he would.
Yeah, okay. I don't hate calling. I think it's close. So, I mean, it depends on how high up you're checking the turn. I would argue that you're probably not checking the turn very high up, so this becomes like a little bit better. You should probably just bluff catch with like a pair of fives or something, but like I don't hate it or anything either.
Okay.
So what happened on the flop?
So raise, I call, min raise, check, check.
Yeah, okay, sure. Seems fine. Yeah, in those types of spots, I'd be more comfortable randomizing with like some pig,
Are
whatever you want to use.
you just playing 100% unless he gives you a reason not to, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I folded this one.
This would be super. Yeah, so I would never would have folded.
Okay.
Because he showed you the 10-7 suited, right?
Yeah, I know this. This sounds dumb, but it was because he showed me the 10-7 suited. I know it means that he's capable of doing dumb shit like that, but I just thought it was less likely that he would do it in such quick succession. Maybe I just leveled myself. I know we're getting an insanely good price tag.
Yeah, I mean, I just think you end up with like. I think that at equilibrium you probably end up with shove. Once you like build a range that includes hands like that, you can end up with shove, and then like if you don't want to shove, which I could understand, I think you would end up with something that I think you would end up with call, because like I think it's like it requires too much spider sense to like see 10-7 suited and assume that he's bladed now. So I would just call.
Yeah.
Like I would call or shove, but I wouldn't fold. But you know, like when you think that when your spider sense goes off, you're the fucking man, right? So you know, they have aces, baby.
No, I mean, like I'm not. I hate like that I've said that a few times, but like, it was just when you're in the game and your head's
No,
up. Like,
I'm not criticizing at all. I mean, like when it went off, you were right for sure. I mean, like sometimes you playing with them, right? So you can handicap timing. You can handicap timing, right? Like I can't like this is a hand history review. I can't handicap timing, so you can be like. You can be aware of more variables than I can when I'm playing. So, or when you're playing.
Are you alright with c-betting this one?
Sure. Yeah, like I said, I'm just like, you know, just concerned that you're c-betting that you're betting too much in general. I would have bet the turn though.
Yeah. Okay.
Sam's just like maximally efficient as a bet, I think. So I definitely would have bet the turn, and I'd still raise the river.
Mad at me. Yeah.
Oh, we just called.
Yeah. I don't like. I can't explain this one. Like this isn't like spy sense. I'm not sure why I just called. Because obviously you can have an obscene amount of two pairs. I'm not itching to get this done at all. The naughty skunk. It's just heads up, and there's a lot of hands where I'm just raise fold. That's why we're going through quick. Yeah. Yeah, I think if he has a flush, he probably bets bigger as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think his range just includes way too many hands that, just way too many hands, and so I think you need to raise.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with that too, yeah. We've seen him overbet, so. Yeah, I mean,
I thought I
sure.
called. You alright betting this turn after checking flop?
Yep. I'm okay with checking too.
Grand the Thought says, do you think we should ever have a leading range from the big blind versus limp? I definitely would. I don't know if it's good, but I definitely would have a leading range in limp pots.
Yeah. I think it's on the board textures where you have where you have a lot of interaction and you can handicap that your opponent doesn't. So like if your opponent's got a raising range or he's got a folding range, and you catch a flop that like you have really strong interaction with your checking range and that he misses, so like I don't know, 3 4-3 deuce or something, or 6-5-3. Those low card 3-card boards, those ones I think like it'll make sense to lead if you think that, in particular, if you think the small blind or button has a has a folding component, or if you think he has a raising component that's polarized. Leading those low card flops in the check through situations will make sense for sure.
This one we 4x first a limp.
Sure.
C-bet, and then...
I think it's going to be really tough to bet this large. Like, maybe really tough is too strong of a word, but...
So if we're betting like 350?
Yeah, I would bet smaller.
Okay. See, this one I feel like I should check. I know I'm like kind of close to the queen and jack, but it feels like I shouldn't bet this one. Am I wrong, or?
I mean, they're all mixes. Like it's all really hard. I'm simplifying a little bit because like if I just keep saying mix every single hand, it gets boring. So it's
yeah, I know. Yeah.
But
I thought I called this in game.
So what can you just run it through again?
Yeah. So I see bet flop.
Dude, what happened pre?
Calls.
What happened pre?
I raise.
Yeah. Okay.
I raise. Feels like he could end up bluffing with a... I don't think he should, but like, do you think he could ever end up bluffing with like king 9 or something, and then I look real stupid, or do you think he'd just check that happily?
I think you'll check on average. This is another tough spot. I think you're gonna end up having to mix like a bunch of hands that are just miserable as hell. So I think at the margin, if you don't think he's bluffing king high hands, then having the king of diamonds won't matter. I think you want to try to avoid hands like the 4 of diamonds or the 7 of diamonds or the 6 of diamonds or hearts. So like you want to avoid diamonds and hearts so that you unblock the backdoor flush draws that will bluff the river. So, but again, I don't think the king of diamonds is really all that relevant because I don't think he bluffs king high necessarily. So I think that like mixing call here is fine.
Okay. Yeah. If it just like it feels like it's a 5 or a bluff a lot of the time. Like I don't know if people like I think people are just gonna bet bigger if they have he's gonna check raise a lot of his queens and he's gonna bet bigger with a jack. And if he doesn't check raise a queen, I think he bets much bigger. So
like the problem with that is we don't know we don't really know where he's gonna fall necessarily. So like it's really difficult, and it's much easier to just say okay, he's betting 250, the pot's 870. So I have to defend like 70 whatever 2% of my range or something. And so where am I at in the top? Am I in the top 72 or the bottom 72? Or top 72 or bottom 30, bottom 35? And it depends on like how high frequency you end up betting that turn. But like to me it feels like this hand's probably like up, to be honest, like given how wide ranges are, it's probably up there. I mean, it also depends on what your raising range looks like because you're limping a decent amount too. So it just seems close. Like you don't have bad blockers. It just seems close. It seems like a hand that needs to call sometimes.
Okay. Sorry, people are saying I'm going too quick. Sorry, it's just how I normally go through hand history. I'm not trying to go too quick.
Yeah, we do this really fast when it's just us.
Yeah. Apologies if it seems quick, and I'm certainly not trying to get it done in a hurry or anything like that. So it goes check on the flop after being a limp pot, about 60 or 70%. He raises, I call, and just goes check on the river.
Yeah, I think your play is fine. That's my daughter.
I can't hear anything.
Okay, cool.
So check on the flop after limp. I overbet turn.
Yep.
Limp pot.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I'm also good if you use kings there to protect your checks, which I think is important.
Okay. Start limp pot, check call, check. I think we got a value bet, right?
Yep. Sure.
Oh shit! You should. Ah man, I really wanted to call this in game.
He hasn't 2-bet you at all on the river.
I know, but I just don't think people like check back this river and then find shoves with like anything that's like not like what I don't. I know like, all right, so I would check raise a decent amount of my kings on the flop, and if we're talking about the minimum defense frequencies, like then this like it feels like it becomes one of my best hands because like he might have some queen x two pair, like like queen deuce is a hand that would make sense. Like, do you think he finds a shove with like 8 deuce versus this sizing? Like, because if
Probably
like
not.
I just find it very hard for him to have a lot of value hands when he checks back the turn and then shoves on me on the river.
So do I. But the population underbluffs the river when they.
Yeah, no, I did obviously find the fault, but I just felt full of shit. Ryan wrist has probably the bomby range, the best size value for sure.
I just don't think the population bluffs enough versus pot. I don't think. I don't think it's that close. I think you're just paranoid.
Okay.
I think he probably had.
I mean, I'm not.
Or something.
Okay.
It's hard. Like I get it. Like it's, but I just don't think he's bluffing.
Okay.
I probably keep checking again. I don't hate betting. It's a mix.
So 4x, we get limber raised all in, I think, as we've seen it.
That seems fine.
So you wouldn't lead here then, I guess?
Nope.
No. Okay.
I'm looking for asymmetry on the part of the
Obviously.
out of position player.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't understand what that means, if you want to explain, basically it just means he can have more of the strong hands. Is like a very easy way to put it, right? On this board.
No. It means that I think that the default strategy you should choose is to check, and that in order to lead, you need to justify it. And the way you would justify leading is by having some asymmetry in terms of your board coverage on the flop. And so like that's not really true here, but it would be true on like 5-6 or 6-5 deuce or 6-5-3 if you thought he had a folding range or a raising range that was polarized, because he just wouldn't have those hands from the button. And we would have them all presumably from the big blind.
All right. Anyway, so I guess that's something I need to work on, because I definitely would lead a reasonable amount of them. We are check raising this, or do you want to just check call?
By the way, the 9-8, which I think we skipped over, I would, at this point in the match, like I probably would have checked. I mean, you're just not checking enough. I keep talking about it, but probably would have checked here. Oh, you let. Sorry, fuck. Yeah, never mind.
That was the hand we were talking about, right?
Yeah, no. If you were in position, I would have checked. But then because you bet, I kind of thought you were in position. But yeah, go ahead. Go to the next one.
So we check raise.
Sure.
7-10.
Yeah, I'd probably call, but it's fine.
Okay.
Again, I might have checked.
Okay.
There you go. Go back. No, to the 9-6 offsuit on ace 10-10. Yeah, that's not a fold.
Can't fold.
You skipped over it, but that's a pure VPIP.
Yeah.
Call, raise, figure it out, but you can't fold.
His bounty at this point of the tournament is $2,500. Okay, yeah. Why? Maddie's asked why can't we fold?
Sure.
Too good, man. it will shock. That's anyway good.
So our opponent's betting 80, pot becomes 260. So we'll use simple math, right? 80 out of 240, 1 out of 3. We have to defend 67% of our range. And there's not going to be any overfolding that you get to do versus that MDF line. So because the two ranges are proximate before the flop, so we're not like severely disadvantaged going into this because he's playing so many hands. We have to defend around 70% of our range on this flop, and the easiest way to do that is by folding a bunch of offsuit combos that don't have a backdoor flush draw, and never folding any hand at all ever that has a backdoor flush draw. So if you have the 2 of spades, call. If you have 3 of spades, call. 4 of spades, call. This hand, call. 2 diamonds, call. I don't give a shit if they're the 2, 3 of diamonds. I don't give a shit if it's 2, 3 with the 3 of spades. Probably have to call. So yeah, can't fold.
The one thing when I started getting coaching from BBZ was that I fold way too much, and some of the stuff I had to call blew my mind. I still obviously don't call it all. I'm still not. Look at me. Look at this. Check the hand. I knew. Would you bet bigger when you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bet bigger.
You okay with shoving 25, or is it too much?
I'm okay with it. I like the hand class too. I like the way that you, like when you decided to do it. I like the hand that you had.
Do I have to call, or I don't know if I do. I can't remember.
Probably. It's close. This one feels like a call. Seems super hard to fold.
Do you ever think we can check raise our hand on the turn? Like, is it just a little bit too thin?
I don't know. I'd have to look into it before recommending it.
No, it's not something I would ever do for what it's worth. I just was wondering.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to know more about it.
You think this one we should check at the side step? Like, is it just because it's a bit dicey if we get check shoved. Oh wait. Yeah, so this is obviously awful. If the other one was bad, this is horrendous, I guess.
Not a fan.
Yeah.
And I would have kept betting had I done it, because the 10 of hearts becomes too relevant.
Yeah, because we can just bet like on a jack queen heart, right?
Oh, because we pull all the combo draws out of his range that are pure calls. So if he has like 10-6 of hearts, it's a pure call.
Yeah.
It's gone, right? So the 10 of hearts helps. And your leading range is probably polarized to some degree, so.
Alright, so the very last hand, Jordan.
Oh, here we fucking go. Let's get him.
We limp 4-3 suited. He makes it 200. He done his suspicious sizing again, and I didn't pick up on it this time. I just noticing it right now. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good with checking back the flop, which is what I probably would have done.
Okay.
Oh, shit. But when we bet, we don't have a 3 very often.
So do you think we should bet bigger with the double flush draw?
A little bit, but not like way bigger. Yeah. Just a little bit. Oh, that's the best.
I'm so good.
Dude, you're a hero. Super fucking legend.
Jordan, thank you very much for coming on and doing it. If anyone wants to get in contact with you, it's basically BBC Staking on Twitter, BBC Staking on Facebook and Instagram.
Yep. Yeah, and you know,
all right, sweet.
Jump on the Discord. You can add us at BBC Staking on Discord, and we'll get a Discord link. We'll get a Discord link for you guys, I think. And,
yeah, if anyone in the chat can whack in the Discord link, that'd be appreciated.
Sure. And
I'm gonna win a scoop so that you have to come on again.
Dude, I hope the audio works, man. I apologize, guys. I really appreciate you guys having me on with the audio as tough as it got. But yeah, it was fun, and you know, I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity. You guys were awesome as far as an audience goes, considering how shit the audio must have gotten. So could have been way more
mate,
bitching.
it's not
so I
every
appreciate it.
day that you get the opportunity to get the top level coaching for free. So I'll say thank you very much again, mate. I do appreciate
Cheers.
it, and we'll chat soon.
Sounds good.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you later. Peace, boys.
Bye bye.